Well, as is becoming a routine, a regular routine here on the third Friday of every month, we're very pleased to have Dr. Peat to share his experience and wisdom that is difficult to find somewhere else. I'm not sure that we've ever found anybody quite like him. So he's been extensively researching many different areas of health and nutrition, probably for 25, 30 years or more. And
over 40.
Over 40, there you go. Okay, well, tonight we're actually going to start. I'm going to first ask Dr. Peat to introduce himself, but we're going to start with what he has been certainly educating us in the last 3 to 4 years as being an untruth, and there's scientific evidence showing in the medical literature now, folks, to show exactly what he's been saying for quite a long time. So, Dr. Peat, thanks so much for joining us on the show again.
Hi.
Okay, for those people who perhaps have never heard the show before, which is totally possible, and perhaps for those people who may not know you, would you just let the listeners know your professional academic background?
I studied biology for a PhD at the University of Oregon, 1968 to 72, and before that had been in various things, linguistics, art, taught a variety of health-related courses, psychology, philosophy, and things that were perspectives on my basic orientation, which is biological, but biological in a very broad sense. My graduate study in biology concentrated on aging of the reproductive system, but the reason I went to the graduate school, I was intending to study brain biology because of my previous work in linguistics and psychology. I wanted to understand how the brain handled consciousness and language, but at the university I discovered that the biologists were really no more scientific than the people in the humanities and social sciences.
Okay.
It was very heavily ideological, so that was why I shifted over to the other end of the organism, where I could look at more physical biochemical processes.
Well, it sounds very well-rounded because the psyche affects biochemistry, and biochemistry affects the psyche, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the subjects that we wanted to expand on with the research that you've done and the articles that you've written, in fact, this month's newsletter is pretty much based around, the show is pretty much based around your newsletter for this month. And the subjects that you had on the newsletter there was basically blood pressure regulation, muscle atrophy, and heart failure in perspective, along with edema. And one thing that really caught my attention, I know for the longest time, well, for all the time that we've been speaking and consulting with you, probably 3 years or maybe 4 now.
Over 4.
Over 4. But just tell me, how many years has it been that you have been purporting that saturated fats are better than polyunsaturates as a first off?
I really started thinking intensively about it at the end of the 70s, but I ran into the question very directly in aging research in the reproductive system, because way back in the 1930s and 40s, people were showing that estrogen accelerated the breakdown of polyunsaturated fats, which intensified the effects of estrogen and accelerated aging, especially in the reproductive tissues. But it took several years after finishing my dissertation before I got around to really concentrating on the nutritional implications of that, and emphasizing the benefits of coconut oil around 1978 or 79.
So way back then, there was already literature showing that the saturated fats, which are coming from animal fats and coconut oil, versus the polyunsaturates, which are the liquid vegetable oils and are now present in pork and chicken fat and fish, because of what they're feeding these animals, including the fish, the farm-raised fish.
And the whole food chain. That's not,
well, yeah, and then it filters down the whole food chain. But so you're saying back then all of this research was available for people to view?
Yeah,